Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren and Palmer. So excited to be with you today, where I have the honor and the privilege to be able to listen and hear from those who are teaching us, who are actually making a difference locally and globally at what they do. They say that your niche or your niche will make you rich, so to speak, rich and empowering, impacting, and changing lives. So we definitely got a change agent on today, a market leader. Mr. Aneesh Chaudhry is in the building. I'm going to share just a little bit about him before he comes on in his own way. He is a philanthropist and brain health coach based out of Newport Beach, California. He is the founder and CEO of SoulPhysio Lifestyle LLC and the SoulPhysio Foundation. He owns two wellness clinics focused on brain health and Eastern medicine. It is his mission to bridge the gap between Eastern and Western medicine in order to help combat mental and neurological illness in children. Our very own brain health coach himself, Aneesh Chaudhry. Say hello to the people, my man.
Thank you so much for having me, Darren. I appreciate the introduction, and it's an honor to be on the show. I'm looking forward to being able to share what I can share with the people today.
Awesome, awesome. So, Aneesh, break it down um, um, in layman terms a little bit about how do you actually serve. So, some might be thinking to themselves, well, I'm not, is he a neurological surgeon? Is he, so just break it down in the ABCs and layman terms for those out there who might not be familiar with what you do as a brain health coach.
Absolutely. So the modern day healthcare system in the West today is primarily based upon a disease-based treatment model. And even to break that down further, it's like we feel something, say we have chest pain, we have sinus issues, we go see a doctor. And then the doctor diagnoses us with some condition based upon our symptoms and typically follows up with some kind of prescription. We go to the pharmacy, get that filled. So that's very much the like a simple breakdown of the healthcare system. And where I come in is, okay, what do you have to do to not go to the doctor and be sick to begin with? So very much focused on disease prevention, and that's where we use practical tools like yoga, meditation, nutrition, and exercise to be able to teach people about the importance of how these tools impact their brain. That way, they can then engage in very practical tools and tips to be able to ultimately fight disease and live a brain healthy lifestyle throughout the course of the day.
I love that, Anish, because it's really being well, in business, what we say, being on the offense or whatnot, but being proactive, proactive in the help and realizing that you don't have to just take a pill or actually be cut on because of lack of care, where you didn't take the preventive measures to make sure you don't get in that bad of shape. And I love the merger too, as well, as far as what you're sharing about the overall health path, whatnot, because I've with just a personal case where my mom was diagnosed with sure that it looked like she never did accept it. So that's why I say that she was diagnosed. She never did accept like a lump or something was cancerous or whatnot. And I believe her belief system, she went through and did some steps, but she also practiced and utilized not only just the West, but they gave her opportunities with the physicians that she had to be able to participate and use some other methods as well, some alternative methods and whatnot to be able to combat certain things. And so I think options and choice is definitely a plus. But let's go a little bit deeper. Anisha, how did you get into this movement, man, or this calling? What was that aha moment for you, or that light bulb moment where you realized, we need to make a change here. We need to pivot in the way that we're servicing people.
It's a lot of it was birthed from my own personal experience, and I appreciate you sharing that about your mom because it's not so easy to hear. Like you get used to living life a certain way, and all of a sudden you go to the doctor and they tell you something you don't want to hear. It's not always the easiest thing to respond to and to accept. And that's where my personal experiences, because I dealt with pretty significant mental illness and addiction issues through the majority of my childhood years. I was seeking help, trying to seek help from different psychiatrists, psychologists, in and out of different rehab programs when I was younger. I was diagnosed with everything from depression, anxiety, bipolar, OCD, just everything under the sun. Different people were telling me different things, and it was extremely confusing because I was just trying to figure out why I was feeling the way I felt. That's what really, really led me on this journey to figuring it out on my own. I was born and raised into a good family of extremely loving. So it was not really like that was not the issue. Where normally, like, say from somebody perhaps who may not be educated upon mental health, which is most of us, because we're just, it does not talked about, that we would think that mental illness could only come, say, if, like, we grow up in a low income neighborhood, perhaps an abusive mother or father, or just some kind of dramatic circumstance to lead to mental illness. And that's just not the case. It can happen to anybody. And that's where the big turning point for me was when I got my brain scanned at the Amen clinics in 2013. And I just remember being able to see my brain in front of me and understand, like, okay, it's not a problem with me. This is just chemical imbalances in the activity of my brain. And that's what led me on to basically become obsessed with learning about the brain. I got my bachelor's in neuropsychology. I completed a bunch of different wellness certifications. Worked as a personal trainer. I taught yoga, learned about nutrition, and started helping people at a very surface level. But I still saw it wasn't enough. It really, really ran so much deeper than that, and where now, I mean, I've been off of medications for 2 years completely, just living a healthy lifestyle, and I don't identify with any of those diagnoses, to where now at the age of 27, I'm living a life that I never would have imagined. But it was all a result of me kind of taking my own condition under my own care, and ultimately learning to trust myself and getting to the root cause of why I was feeling the way I felt.
This content that you're sharing, man. I'm telling you that it's priceless. For those who are out there who are struggling, and and this mental health situation is real. It's a reality, no matter your ethnic background, no matter your gender, no matter where you are on the socioeconomic ladder. I'm telling you, it's making an impact in a negative way in households across the world. And so what you hear with Aneesh sharing with us is, that those who have listened to the episodes before of the podcast that I do, your pain is your product. And I keep saying that, but that's the common denominator with these market leaders that we have on, like Aneesh or whatnot. He's telling you firsthand. He's not telling you something that he just read in a book. So don't miss the gems that he's dropping for us right now. This is a gentleman who actually lived it. He's actually been on the medications. He's actually been able to see that the proof is in the pudding, as we like to say down south or whatnot, to my California friend. But at the same time, he's utilized the methods that he's sharing. I'm telling you, I want to hear from a market leader, especially someone who's actually tasted of the Kool-Aid, so to speak. He's actually went into the process, figured it out for himself. He's been able to help countless others as well with the method and the strategies that has as well. So for those out there, I just want to play a little bit of devil's advocate out there, Niche, where we go and, so do the things that we eat. Now, I know this to be true. Does it actually cause a chemical imbalance in some of us out here? The things that we're eating.
100%. And I think that beyond a shadow of a doubt, because we know that food impacts our body. And like you mentioned, people from all these different walks of life, no matter the color of our skin, the size of our body, where we grew up, we all have a brain. We all have internal organs. Those don't discriminate. And those are extremely sensitive to our external environment. And what I mean by that is, like, what we put in our body, who we surround ourselves with. All these things that we hear about are important, but one thing that way it's not addressed, we talk about in a business aspect, our network is our net worth. I'm sure we've heard that before, but even beyond that, it really dictates our internal state. You can have all the money in the world, you can grind for 30 years and have $100 million in the bank by the age of 55. But if you have heart disease and like your internal organs are failing, the money doesn't mean a thing. It truly doesn't. And if you tell yourself otherwise for a second, you're lying. It's just that's the cold, hard truth. And so to get back to your question about food, food is medicine. Food can be medicine or it can be poison. It's one of the two. And it's like, if we're eating McDonald's and we're eating fried foods and just stuff that, like, are the calories, I can live on calories. Sure, you could live on calories, but you're going to be functioning at suboptimal levels. Your energy is going to be crashing throughout the course of the day. your organs are going to be working 10 times harder just to be able to produce the results, as opposed to if you're eating a clean diet that consists of primarily complex carbohydrates, grains, fruits, vegetables, meat occasionally. I'm not going to go on some rant and say meat's bad for you. I mean, I think small amounts of meat that are cleanly sourced in moderation can be okay. But if we're kind of, there's a lot of gym rats that I've worked in the gym world. I think we need like 150 grams of carbs every day and eating meat all the time. It's like you're destroying the inside of your body just to have a six pack. It's like, come on, guys. That thought pattern is just it's not sustainable. And that's why when I talk about nutrition, I talk about being able to fuel the brain, because then that's when your brain's functioning at a much higher level, because you're eating foods that are rich in omega-3s, that are not simple carbohydrates that spike your blood sugar and then force your brain to work harder. I mean, all of these basic things, and learning to tailor your diet from a brain health perspective, it adds a new level of motivation, because then sure, you can lose weight as a byproduct. You could, look good, you can have anti-aging, but then ultimately when you have a brain that's functioning the way it is, it's going to put you so far ahead of everyone else that you come across. It's just the simple truth of the matter.
Ooh, I told you, man, we got him fired up, man. We got him fired up. I'm telling you, we got my man fired up. I'm telling you, he's
That's
in
right.
He's my guy to start blowing up like octane in the building, man. When I'm hearing you sharing this, this is the type of information that we got to hear, guys, especially for those who are market leaders or you business owners out there, the entrepreneurs. I know you got caught up in the grind. And, you want to go to the next mastermind and you want to be in the best shape or whatnot for the retreat in Cabo. We love that. But with the 12 pack, 6-pack, whatever you want to call it, I love what you shared. No matter how much Botox you take, no matter how you use the anti-aging creams or whatnot, what Aneesh just shared with us is if your brain is still out of whack, if it's off or not. You have a beautiful corpse, but at the same time, you're out of there because your mind isn't right. You're self-sabotaging yourself, or your marriage is not right, or the relationship with your kids, dealing with team members because you're not functioning right, and you're wondering why you're irrational, why things isn't lining up. It's because you're damaging your brain. You're internally killing yourself. It's self-sabotage. You're on a kamikaze mission. Every time you go to lunch, every time that you eat, you're on a kamikaze mission or whatnot. And I think the imbalance, because I think we limited Aneesh to, well, you got, I got a little something for people to hold on to with the, with a love handle or two. It's not too bad. I'm not, morbid obese or anything like that. But it goes far beyond just weight or I don't have a 6-pack. And that's what I love the work that you do is actually messing with our mind. And I've seen as well with, some of the stuff linked with what we're doing to our body with Alzheimer's as well, where, some studies showing that. And I think most people, we don't put the two together. We don't put, most people don't put what I'm eating with my brain. We use the other word. We take what we're eating with our belly or our waistline. And, I'm not laughing to be funny with it, but that's how typically most people think. And I love where you went back to the brain for us to change that paradigm. We have to have a paradigm shift so we can start realizing that what we're eating is actually medicine for us. It's actually to help provide a service. And lastly, before I jump off, because my man hit us with so much, I just wanted to make sure I recap. I love that it's not a such thing as purgatory. Either you're getting better with this thing or you're getting worse. Either you're helping your brain and your body or you're destroying it. It's no middle ground. You're not moaning. You're not in the middle. And so with that being said, Aneesh, what are some recommendations? I know you could go and get a full course. I mean, this is all your work. What are some things for those of us out there, those entrepreneurs, those business owners out there who, they're grinding, getting to the next deal. Let me hear them stop. I don't want to put no name out of a company. Let me stop and get some fast food here because I got to be in for this meeting. I got to catch this flight. What are some things that we could do to start changing this, to start realizing, okay, let me just make this step, whether I know it might be just more water, or what are some things that I can do that I can prep and do that can help with what I'm eating being medicine for me and helping my insides and also my brain. If you could give us a few steps or some things that we could do as beginners to get started on the right track.
Absolutely. So there's one thing I want to talk about, and it may not be what you guys are expecting, but it's and when we talk about brain health, one technique and one tool that has been traditionally associated in a very religious connotation is the practice of meditation. And that is something that's been coming up very, very often now, because when people think meditation, they think some spiritual or religious affiliation, but there's just more and more data coming out about how meditation can be used to actually build a bigger and a healthier brain. Like, I'm not even joking, it makes your brain bigger. Because when you sit down and you meditate, like, we live in such a fast-paced world, it forces a person to sit down, sit with whatever feelings they have, whatever thoughts, emotions, whatever's happening, and just sit with it. And the practice of even doing that for 5 minutes in the morning in a quiet place, focusing on the breath, like, what happens is then you just deep breathe for 5 minutes and you take in more oxygen. That oxygen then goes to your brain and is actually able to help to lay the foundation for the growth of new brain tissue and new connections. So not only will it make your brain bigger, it'll actually help your brain to communicate more efficiently. And even beyond that, it'll help you to gain control of your thoughts, gain control of your mind. So you got a big meeting, you got a presentation. You're not coming at it from a place of stress and anxiety and pressure. You're coming at it from a place of calm, poised confidence by learning to control the breath. Because when you learn to control the breath, that's when you can truly learn to control the mind and ultimately control your reality. Because you think about, we can go days and weeks without food or water. You can't go more than minutes without the breath. That's not something we talk about. So learning to control the breath and taking in more oxygen has a profound impact on the brain, the body, the mind, and everything else in between.
So it would be more of getting control of breathing, because I think, let's give a little bit more clarity to this, because you hear different opinions when it comes to what meditation actually is. So what you're referencing is actual time, focus, and making sure that you're controlling your breathing. Because I know some who say that they're meditating and they could be working out, meditating, and they're doing some cardio, and that's their meditation. Is it a certain type of recommendation that you're referencing to right now? Would that be in my yoga style type position, and with my eyes closed, just breathe and inhale, exhale, that type? Or it could be utilized in the other capacity, whether it's a morning walk or just someone in meditation sitting at their desk, just staying clear in their mind?
Well, I think all those different activities can be a form of meditation, and I don't want to discourage anybody to do that. But there's something that's very profound and powerful about actually sitting down and going through the action of it, because then when you're walking, you're still doing something. When you're exercising, you're still doing something. Those are all activities. So what the difference is doing, and then you come into a place of stillness, you're just being. Rather than doing, you're just being. That's really the essence of it, is you just sit quietly for 3 to 5 minutes to start. Simply have a 4-second inhale through the nose. You pause at the top. 4-second exhale through the nose. You pause at the bottom. And then you can even count that out in your mind to give you something to focus on. Just that amount, you'll see a difference in as little as 2 to 3 weeks in terms of how you feel throughout the course of the day. It's amazing how profound something so simple is. You don't have to go anywhere, but what it does is it just teaches you how to be with yourself and how to ultimately use your own resources for you rather than against you.
Ooh, fire, 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 man. I'm sounding like my man John Lee Dumas, man. I'm talking about, this guy is on fire. It's the great Alicia Keys. He's not the girl, but the man is on fire in here today.
That's right.
But, man, we thank you so much for coming on. I want to be respectful of your time, but I don't want to have people, messing up their brain by being frustrated and upset and mad at me. So how can they connect with you? I mean, we're going to have the information in the show notes, but if it's courses, if it's your practice, if it's training in your company, whatever you have, my brother, if it's a book, whatever resources you have available, please share that at this time so they can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So please go ahead and check me out at my website at soulphysiolifestyle.com or connect with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. Feel free to shoot me a message with any questions you have. Be more than happy to set up a free 20-minute call with you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now I'm gonna get with Aneesh too, period, because I know this was just a little appetizer and whatnot. You know, he didn't even get into the main course or whatnot, and we sure didn't get into the desserts yet. But at the same time, I want you all to know that I'm gonna connect with him offline for some stuff that we have for business leaders and market leaders, so he can go more in detail with the things that he's doing, because I know all of us need it, but especially those who are suffering with mental health when it comes to entrepreneurship, the warfare that you're going through, the struggles, the bad diet. It's just a perfect storm to basically lose your mind, lose your health, or actually lose your life. And unfortunately, it's those, if you have a wife or a husband or children or team members who are impacted by you not being in the best health or the best version of yourself. A lot of others are impacted by your lack of understanding of what Aneesh is teaching us here. So I want to make sure that we get him back. I will be connected with him offline to set something up, because we need to get more people with those consultations. We need more people to take advantage of his services, because this is life changing here. Like, this is not a facade. This is not just so we can, be ready to party in Cabo or something real quick. I mean, this is something that can change lives for generations to come, the work that he's doing. So once again, Aneesh, man, I thank you so much for coming on, giving us the understanding, these tips, tangible steps that we can implement immediately. Before I talk to him, I've been doing some meditation myself. You see how big my head got? I'm sorry, no pun intended. But yeah, I'm working on my brain, trying to expand it or whatnot, so we can get there. But definitely this stuff works. So Aneesh, man, thank you, brother, for coming on and blessing us on this episode of Market Leader Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to keeping the conversation going and continuing to be able to serve the people. That's what it's all about.
Awesome, awesome. Remember, hit the information in the show notes. Connect with my man Aneesh. He told you, you heard it here first. He's willing to even give you a free consultation. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that later on, about the consultation being free. But why you can get it right now before his schedule pack up, make sure that you hit him up, connect with him, so you can go to the next level. Until next time, if you won't change, be the change. Be blessed and be great.